I shoot in 3D. I use old vintage cameras where people look at pictures in their album. On my pictures, they look into them. I want people to feel like they're reliving the experience again. With the 3D, I feel like I'm right there. Well, you know what's funny is that people don't even know that this exists. I did one wedding show, and when people go with their list of vendors, 3D photographer is not among them. Although people get videographers along with their regular photographer, 3D I think is a great add-on that people don't know exists anymore. 3D in the movies is in many ways very similar to what I do. It's the delivery system that's different. You have to have each image going to the respective eyes to get the 3D effect. In the theaters, they use the glasses, the Real D glasses or what have you. I use the viewer, and the viewer gives you a much more intimate experience. What I like about the viewer is that your field of vision is much fuller and your sense of immersion is greater. You really do feel like you're there rather than looking through a window. I still use film. I'll use film as long as I can get it. This viewer actually was probably produced in the early to mid 50s. The great thing is when I hand this off to people, even modern photographers, they look in here and they go, wow, what will they think of next? And I was like, they thought of this like 60 years ago. This camera came out in 1947 and basically was the indirect beginning of the 1950s 3D movie boom when sample slides were shown to a producer who thought it would be a great idea to put that stuff up on the big screen in motion pictures. I gravitate towards the amateur photographers as far as the vintage slides go. The amateurs are showing you something that was important to them at the time. And one of my favorites is of this woman sitting watching TV back in the week before Christmas in 1956. It was something mundane back then. To somebody that was important. And now, that's a moment in time with our huge big screen TVs. It's so wonderfully quaint. We had our own wedding shot in 3D with my old vintage camera. And I was looking for something to store them in that would be kind of special. And on eBay I found an album that was made specifically for 3D slides back in the early 50s. It came with slides of somebody's wedding back in the late 50s. I don't know the people, but they had a huge cake. And the cake looks even more impressive in 3D. Like anybody who wants to take advantage of their medium, I always look for opportunities to make the 3D immersive. And my favorite thing is, and I always suggest this, when they're coming out of the church, have bubbles. Because the bubbles floating in the air is the best way to demonstrate the depth. Even with a manual camera like that, you want to try to catch these moments. The one that I always want to get is the groom seeing the bride coming down the aisle for the first time. At this moment, you can see the look on the groom's face. The little kid's looking up at him, probably wondering why he's looking that way. And then one of the groomsmen is looking over, and there's just like the composition just almost looks to me like a Norman Rockwell painting where every figure has a role and tells a story. I think 3D really should always say something that's kind of special. There's one person who said that, who worked in 3D for many years. He said 3D is great, it's like a circus, but you don't want to go to the circus every week.